All right, so here we go. Hi everyone. We are up to the first prompt. So in terms of my background, I have actually done some Kantha stitching there. I've done a little bit up and down the edge here and a little bit across there. I haven't stitched that edge down yet. But with the first prompt, which I'm sure you've watched Rachel's video already, is your favorite doily. I have heaps of favorites. I certainly couldn't narrow it down to one doily, but you know, if you've been watching me for a while, I have a style of doily that I particularly like, and that is bird doilies. So I will be adding bird doilies to my piece. I'm thinking of adding at least one bird doily to each of my blocks, depending on how many blocks I get done, but I've definitely got enough bird doilies. So today I'm going to start with that. So first thing, we've seen a lot of people's things coming up, and that's great to see that you're all super excited, but I'm a little bit worried about some of you that you've added so much on that I'm hoping that you fit the prompts in. Because we really did encourage you to have a neutral background like this white one. I'm just playing around with a few ideas. This is not going to be the doily. But what I'm going to do with mine, I'm not just going to put single pieces on. I love this one. It's so rustic. It's rustic stitching. I'm not just going to put single pieces on by themselves. I'm going to layer it up just like Pam did. And then later on, I'll get to do some extra stitching. I want to add some bits and pieces of fabric as I go as well. So I'm just playing around with some ideas here. Loving, you've already probably seen some of my feed sack fabrics. Well, I love that look already. The other one I was thinking of was this one. And I love this one from my friend Judy Dell. She gave me a bunch of gorgeous bird embroideries, which will be coming onto this piece. This one I'm going to put aside for the moment because I think this one is the winner for the first little bit that I'm going to do. And I like that in the background. So what I'm going to do is just pin it down. Don't know if I got all my pins here. Let's have a go. Now, in terms of direction, I don't care which direction my doilies go. They can go any direction. I'm not going to keep them all facing one way, as in that's the correct way up. I'll just see how I go. So let's pin it down. I haven't Kantha stitched under all of this, but stitching these bits down are going to hold them onto the top layer, because what my plan is to stitch just through to the top layer and maybe into the wadding, but not through to the bottom layer, and the bottom layer will just have the Kantha stitching all the way through. I really should have Kantha stitched it all first, but I just wanted to show you what it will be like. There's going to be a lot of Kantha stitching on the back that goes different directions. So, for example, I've gone this way for this part, and then here I'll keep going that way, and on this piece I'm going long ways. Okay, so I'm just pinning these in place. Now, what would be fun, I think, on this one is to do a running stitch in a contrasting colour around here, maybe even one of my lovely variegated wools, and then just some Kantha stitching on these. You could actually Kantha stitch in a coloured thread to get some variation. If you haven't gone and had a look at Pam's quilt, I really do strongly suggest that you do. I'm going to link at the bottom of this video, I'm going to link her stitching project. So just stitching, because these are all from her old blog. Go and have a look at her stitching. Her stitching is what I would consider fairly rustic, but it's so creative and beautiful. And I know Rach and I absolutely love it, hence the reason that we have had her as an inspiration for some of our projects. So please do go and have a look, because you're not going to know where we are referring to if you haven't checked it out. And that's why we needed these neutral backgrounds. I think some of you, with what you're doing, some of you have got blocks and then some neutrals, you'll be able to make that work. But there's one in particular I've seen, and it's an absolutely beautiful job. But I just worry that when you're putting down your prompts, you're going to be covering a lot up. The other thing I want to say is, I think I kind of already said this a minute ago, but so favourite doilies here. But like I said, we're doing a big, large quilt. So I'm not just going to have one doily on here. I might have favourite doilies all over it. So you might want to go ahead this week and add more than one doily, especially if you're doing a big overall quilt. You might be ready to go and add lots of doilies. But remember, you've got 20 prompts, so you do need to leave spaces. I'm hoping the prompts can be adapted to everyone's style. But if you kind of just follow along a bit more with us, don't have to do exactly us. We're not dictating to you in terms of how you do your quilt. Or some people are not doing quilts. Some people have got some really cool ideas. Like Colette. I can't wait to see what you do with yours, Colette. If you've watched Colette's video, she's only just new to YouTube. Corinne shared her video in our Facebook group. She's literally just joined YouTube and she's made her first video. I'll link her video at the bottom. Colette has this really cool idea where she's going to do little things like a printer's press, you know, the wooden boxes with lots of little drawers that used to have the numbers and letters in for printers. A lot of people have them. I know I certainly have one, and I can't wait to see how you adapt this, Colette. Okay, so favourite doily. This is definitely one of my favourite doilies. Okay, I'm going to pause you for a minute because I need to get a coloured thread to stitch around here. All right, I'll be back in a sec. So I've done a bit more Kantha stitching down here, a bit lower and all the way to close to the top, because I need to leave some space here for overlap. And I've laid down this sort of lacy doily, and I'm going to stitch down the lacy doily just using an old cotton. Where I'm stitching it down, I'm not going to go through all the layers. I'm just going to go through sort of the top layer so it doesn't go through to the back, because on the back, I don't know if you can see, but I've got the Kantha stitching, and I don't need more stitching coming through. So I am just going to randomly stitch this down. Just bring my knot through. You won't be able to see it because the doily will be over the top. Just bring it through the hole. Where am I? Just centering it. Okay. There we go. So what I'm going to do is I can just feel that I'm going through the top layers and I'm not going all the way through. Just going to come out onto this edge. Okay, I'm just doing a bit of overcast stitch to hold it in place. You can't even see the stitches once it's done. Maybe I'll stitch this side and I'll flip it around and do the other side. just enough to hold it in place. You don't have to stitch, excessively. I'm just stitching out towards the edge, and then I will come back in. I'll just go all over the place. Just making sure you capture some of the doily. I might just come on this outer circle and I'll come back in the middle. Although I am going to overlap stuff onto it so it will get stitched down even better with other things on top. But I don't want it to sort of shift all over the place, so I'll just do this first. It's not very interesting to watch. I'm mindful of that, so I'm going to flick off the video again. It also makes my videos not too long, and I'll come back once I've stitched it down. See you soon. Lacy, doily all stitched down. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just pop this off, stitch the fabrics first. This is what I'm using for my Kantha stitching. It's just an Coats old chain mercerized crochet cotton, number 70. Sorry, excuse me, number 70. I've got quite a lot of these and old ones, so that's what I'll be using for all my Kantha stitching. And I'm going to use that on my 2 coloured fabrics to stitch them down as well. So I'm just doing a knot. I'll just pin these in place. Okay, so I want my knot to start underneath. I'll just come underneath this doily so you can't see it, and then just do the Kantha stitching. And again, I'm only going through sort of the top layer of fabric, not all the way through to the other side. Ooh, sometimes it's very thick. That was a thick bit there. I must have got the edge of the doily, the stitched edge. Could have done this in a contrasting cotton. Perle would be a good one, but I have done it in the plain, so that's what will have to happen. Sorry, let me get you on camera. I'm sliding away. Okay, so just a running stitch back and forth is what we call Kantha stitching, Kantha for those that are new. It's an Indian style of stitching quilts. It's also how they stitch the borrow quilts, I guess, with running stitch. And we do a lot of Kantha stitching. Okay, it looks like it might be time to pause the camera again while I do this. I'll be back in a sec. Alright, so these are stitched down, and my last thing to do is to stitch my doily on. I'm actually not going to stitch it tonight. It's just getting a bit late. So I'll stitch it during the week, so it'll be done for next week. But just to explain what I'll do, I'm going to use the normal sewing machine cotton. And I think what I'll do is I'll just stitch close to the birds and then around the flowers, just to hold the center in place. And then on the outer edge where the scallops are, I'm thinking I'm going to use this bright pink thread. It's not thread, it's wool, it's hand dyed wool. So I got a couple of them, and I think I'll do a running stitch just on the inside of that scallop. All right, so that is it for tonight, because I need to go to bed. I've got work tomorrow, first day back at work. So I hope you like this first prompt. And remember that you may want to add some favourite doilies. If you've got one big piece already, you may want to add some favourite doilies in different places. All right, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week for prompt number 2. Bye for now.